Off and on the clock Tuesdays. Who knows what John is doing? I think he's at La Sagrada Familia or something like that. But Nez and I are here to hold it down. And we're going to do some pit bull drafts today. We got that 10 max contest. It is a $20 buy-in with 100K up top. We'll talk some small field strategy, get a few of those bad boys filled, and also talk about some of the latest news, what's happening around the league, what ADPs are catching our eye, all of that good stuff today on Off and on the Clock. I'm Pete with Nez. Let's do it. All right, Nez, here we go. John seems to be enjoying himself in Europe, but someone has to do the work around here.
Yeah, I think he was drinking a beer before 12 p.m. His local time. So good for him. Good for him. Glad he's not working too hard over there, but still able to get off the hoops takes. He still had to watch the finals on tape delay, he said. So he still had to let everybody know he knows ball and got out his takes relative to that.
That's so funny. Yeah. What do we, I actually tapped in for a little bit last night, right before halftime. Had to see the vibe. It seemed like, again, just from what I saw, like an incredibly fast paced game. Has the whole series been like that?
They've been very physical this whole series. Yeah. Like it's been pretty fun to watch in terms of the physicality and the way that the referees are letting them play. It's been a very fun watch. As far as the refereeing goes, that's been a little suspect. Like it has seemed pretty unfairly in favor of the Spurs, and I'm not even like I'm rooting for the Knicks. I like the Knicks, but it's definitely been pretty unfairly biased toward the Spurs. I think most people would agree with that. But yeah, no, it's been like you said, like a lot of transition. And yeah, just a lot of physicality. So that's been fun to watch, man. It's been a great series. I'm glad, because I'm not like a fan of the Knicks, I am very happy that the Spurs extended the series and it's not just like 3-0 and we can all just like, okay, it's over. I'm really glad that we get more games.
Do you find the Knicks fans endearing or annoying? Everything you hear is that the city is just absolutely electric right now.
I definitely am more endearing toward them, I think, because they have been suffering for quite a while. It's been, they haven't won a title since the 70s. They haven't been to the finals since 91. It's been a pretty rough, 30 plus years for the Knicks fans. So I'm really happy for them. There is just like a weird, there's a part of me that is like, well, if you're a transplant, like, can you really like be super into the Knicks? Like you moved to New York, like post.
You want to just say Jack Settleman?
I mean, Settleman's going to be Settleman, man. Settleman just absolute masterclass in rage baiting yesterday, by the way.
Oh
just
my
like,
God.
Unbelievable how many interactions that dude got. The one thing that I thought was really funny, so he made a post-mortem video, like the energy in the Garden just like wasn't the same. It could have been Trump, could have been a bunch of rich people, I don't know. And then like an hour before that, at halftime, he's like, I have never been to a game where people were more into every bucket, every missed shot. This is just the most electric atmosphere ever. So it's like, what is it, bro? Were you disappointed in the fans, or are you? What is it? What are we doing here? But yeah, no, masterclass from him in rage baiting.
Yes. You know what? Neil says gatekeeping the Knicks. I won't have it.
No, I'm
not.
You know
what? Go ahead.
No, so I'm not trying to gatekeep the Knicks. I just can't. I'm fleshing out the rationale and what's going on in my head where I'm just like, these people didn't go through the suffering. I'm such a traditionalist when it comes to being a sports fan. I'm not trying to gatekeep anybody. I'm just trying to partition where my sympathy goes and the endearness goes to. That's what I'm trying to articulate.
It is crazy though. Like, not to put John on blast, but wasn't John like, the Spurs are just going to be in the NBA finals for like the next 8 years because of Wemby. And I mean, Knicks really giving them a hard time right now. I guess that doesn't really disprove his point, which was basically, I'd rather see the Knicks pull this off now before that team gets even stronger.
Yeah. And it's definitely not playing out the way people thought. Obviously, it's 2-1, started out 2-0, and you have Wemby also. Like before last night, like Wemby did not have like a phenomenal finals. He was definitely kind of MIA offensively. It's like, what are you doing? You're taller than everybody. How are you not dominating? And then in the Garden, he's just a killer in that way, man. Like I think that he was like very motivated to do this in the Garden, to to crash the party, reset the series. I think he had a little bit of extra motivation to do that, and you saw it, man. Just an absolute monster stat line from him. Really cool to see. It's interesting too. Like we have these new NBA salaries, not to like completely deviate, but he still was not winning lineup.
Really?
And I don't know if you saw, it was a 221 person chop.
What?
You had, if you maxed the contest, you needed to dupe yourself 3 times to profit.
That's incredible. Well, I guess maybe not incredible, but so it was like basically if you drafted Wemby, you lost, and otherwise you had a very good chance to win.
Yeah, he had a great game, which is like wild, but yeah, you needed just like 4 of the guys that could put up like 30 plus, 40 plus, basically, which is what won. It was just 4 median salary guys. It's still been a lot of fun. Like people are still loving it, drafting that contest a lot. It's still fun to have something to do for the finals. It's just definitely changing the way that I think about it, where maybe I'm thinking instead of max 3 dupes, like Chris duped himself 10 times for the winner.
Really?
Yeah, cleaned up for 3K by doing that. So I think I may dupe myself maybe like 5 or more times now, and then call it. Before calling it, I was doing like max 3 and then trying to deviate if I could.
Dude, that's so fascinating because you just took me back to like the early evolution of Showdown strategy on DraftKings, and how it really started out as this "don't dupe me, bro" thing. You are not playing, plus EV if you aren't really reducing your dupes. And not to say that isn't true, but I think the evolution of Sims and how even a lot of sharp players play, they've loosened up how they feel about dupes, and that they're more willing to dupe to build highly projecting lineups, because how long it takes you to realize your edge with a non-duped lineup can just take forever. And it'll be funny to see if that starts to play out in real time with these Underdog salary cap games.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure how what people are thinking about it, but I'm sure there's quite a few people that are maxing, that are really taking the time to analyze their portfolio, that are coming away with the same conclusions that I am. Where I need to do more. I need way more. Yeah, everybody's commenting on my shaved face.
Yeah, I was just about to bring this up. What you want to address this?
I know. Well, this isn't like a mainstay, but I did need to do. I haven't shaven the stash, like took a razor to it in forever, so I needed to do something clean and then start fresh. Just because I've got a trip coming up soon, going on a little bachelor trip, so I wanted to have a fresh stash for the bachelor trip. But yeah, I know I think I look weird. My wife thinks I look weird.
Wow. Because I assume like once you have a mustache for that long, it's kind of a given that your partner doesn't mind it, right? Like you wouldn't probably rock it for that long if she hated it.
No, she likes it. She doesn't like seeing my top lip exposed. She's so, whatever you can see of it.
I'm on the other side of the spectrum. It would take me so long to grow out a mustache that you could actually see. So I respect those of you who can pull it off.
You got time before the ship chasing meetup. That'd be a funny maneuver.
No, dude, I'm talking like next year ship chasing meetup is what.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
What would happen is it would grow in, but because I have blonde hair, it would be so faint. Like it would need like a full year until you could actually notice it was there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not your fault. It's not a quantity issue. It's a quality or color.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, my famous story is freshman year of college, and I was still basically prepubescent even at that time. We had, what was it? They used to do like no shave November, and then people would shave it off into a mustache in like December, and everybody in my dorm room, in my dorm, did it, and I had to go and get some dye to dye mine like a more darker brown just so you could see it, and it looked so trashy. But I had to fit in with the fellas.
Man, that's crazy. I didn't ever think that that would be part of your mentality to like need to fit in like that. That's not the Pete Overzet that I know. That's wild.
Exactly. Exactly. So we are going to do some pit bulls today. We've been, dancing around the lobby. I will say, initially, to pull back the curtain, we were going to do World Cup today
Yeah.
because, the World Cup contest kicks off on Thursday. We had the World Pup contest in the lobby. I got to talk with Dave from ETR about it a little bit on After Dark on Saturday. And we had booked Fear My Turtle, who had been on about a month or so ago when the contest launched, had a fun conversation, fun draft with him. And we had booked him for today. And then the contest fills over the weekend. I'm like, all right, man, I don't think we can do a soccer show without a soccer contest. But then I pull up the lobby and we have the World Pup 2 in here. So we could have had them all along, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It would have been nice, but I still didn't end up doing any World Cup drafts after our first conversation because okay, I get it, but I also know there are so many sharper drafters in these streets than me. And at this point in time, dailies take up so much of my bandwidth. Best ball takes up my bandwidth. The shows, this is just a very, very negative EV venture for me. And, now that I've got the kid, I think way more about how can I make my money turn into more money than just trying to have a sweat.
I know that's always what they're wrestling with, of having the sweat for every major sporting event that rolls around is so nice, but you also have to be realistic with what you could do. I will say Dave clearly really in the weeds on it. He knew all of the rotations, starting lineups, all that stuff. And I'll give a quintessential After Dark tease to get that membership money, but he is all in on a specific country. He has some specific targets. The entire chat was tailing him on this long shot bet. So there you go. If you want Dave, an ETR Soccer Sharps official World Cup long shot bet, you can become a YouTube member and check out that show.
Highly recommend checking that out. Cause if you just I just love when Dave gets on shows. He's a really good guest on these shows. He has a lot of conviction. So that it's a fun watch.
I said to him when he was on it, when we were doing So You Think You Can Tout, he had replied the day I announced it. And he's like, this looks awesome. I'm going to apply when I get back, from my travels. And he was the only person that right when the contest was about to lock that I shot a DM to. And I was like, did you say you were going to apply? Because I knew he would have been dynamite in this contest. And he didn't make it. But, we're still able to do shows with Dave whenever we'd like.
Exactly. Yeah. That's his busy season, man. He's a traveler.
Speaking of So You Think You Can Tout, I'm reviewing some of these submissions. I'm posting the videos on my channel on Sunday. For those of you who don't know, it's Survivor Week. They were split into 2 tribes, and they both had to post a video on my channel under different parameters. And here I am watching the streamers video. They did a redraft strategy video, expert mock draft. And none other than Nez Takes in the expert mock draft. You want to peel back the curtain? Tell us how that happened?
Yeah, so Tyler had hit me up before our Jeopardy showdown, and he said, "Yo, can you hop in and do a mock draft with us on Sleeper? We're doing this for the tout video." I said, "Absolutely, yeah. Let me get in there." So I did, and I halfway through, it was late, right? Because it was right after the Best Ball Jeopardy show. It was probably 11 p.m. My time. And my phone went on sleep mode, where it's okay, time for bed, no notifications. And I was, I think, working on next day baseball stuff and totally autoed the last half of my draft. So I felt pretty bad about that, but I did make all the first half picks, but they didn't even review my lineup. So I was just a pawn in their scheme.
That's obviously people will see. We announced the guest judges yesterday. It was Ron Stewart who reviewed the schemers, and we were like, expert mock draft. You guys didn't talk about any of the experts whatsoever in there. I was looking, I was like, wait, is that Ian in here? But we didn't even talk about these guys. It was just a mock draft. Where were the experts?
I said the same thing. I saw Free Duke Johnson. I said, "Is this Ian Hartitz?" He said, "Yes." And we were chirping each other for a little bit in there.
Yeah, battling against the auto draft experts. There you go. Yeah. Did you get a chance to watch both submissions in full?
I saw a good bit of most of them. Yes. Man, schemers crushed, man. The schemers.
You like the the auction style draft?
So good. So good. They absolutely nailed like how to do a best ball draft with 5 dudes on screen as opposed to just shouting over each other or like taking turns. That was a really cool way to do it where you have a budget, you can buy a pick. Haven't seen that before, and it worked out so well. It helps that it's such a good host too. Like he did such a he did such a good job with hosting, but they all had different opinions, which was fun as well. And not everybody agreed with the picks that were made. It was entertaining, well done. Like I thought they crushed it, man.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, that idea, I was like, because we're always trying to find ways to spice up drafts. Obviously, there's the randomizer, which is like on the extreme.
Yeah.
On ship chasing, we've done the thing where we just spin the wheel and each get a pick or whatever. But man, like the whole reason people like auction drafts in general instead of snake often is like, let me have a chance at the actual guy I want, and to have the double map of Survivor Week. They have their auction stuff plus layering on that auction element with fantasy football. I'm like, we need to do this. We need to steal this to do it more.
Yeah, no, that was a great idea. You're definitely going to see that more often, I think.
Yeah, and that's luckily for them. I made every contestant sign a waiver that any intellectual property created for the show is now mine. So
everybody knew the long con, Pete. Everybody knew.
Yeah, I know. Zakarian messaged me. He's like, "Oh man, how nice is it to have just people making video for your channel?" And I will say, I didn't even turn on monetization for either of them. I wanted people to get the full non-ad experience. So it's just the views. It's just the views out there. And I will just say, I know people are wondering, we have a lot going on behind the scenes right now with Survivor Week, all of that good stuff. We will have more announcements soon, but I'm curious, Nez, as a fan, what would you rather have? Like breadcrumbs to kind of hold you over, or some like leaks, some more content, revealing a little bit what happens? Or would you just be like, don't tell me, drop the banger episode in full?
I'm team like no spoilers. Like I don't want a breadcrumb, just like just give me it, tell me it. But you definitely like know how to give breadcrumbs without giving away too much. So I trust your ability to hand out breadcrumbs, and I think that plays better for the engagement to do that. But me personally, I'm like, I don't even want to know. Like I just want to get in. I just want to get into it blind.
One of the breadcrumbs we were going to put out got put out on its own last night, which is we announced Flock is the judge for the schemers. And I didn't even know this, but apparently Mitchell had a video on his channel going after him, talking about how he didn't like the concept of the Flock League, that it was not in the spirit of covering home leagues, and that it was just chasing views and stuff, which is very ironic on a week where they're chasing views with their submission. But PPR Tyler went ahead and put him on blast. What did you think of that little subplot?
Man, I mean, dude, Tyler's playing the game very, very well. He like they're on the like their opponents in this game, period. But now they're super opponents right now because they're literally in 2 different tribes here. Very well played. Very well played. And I saw Mitchell kind of coping after, already kind of like signing his own death certificate after. But I don't think it's a death sentence for Mitchell. He's done enough so far. He's been a really good contestant that I don't think it's the nail in the coffin, but objectively a bad look.
It is. All I'll say is this, it gets addressed. It gets addressed for sure. It's not just happening on Twitter. So you guys can enjoy more fallout between Mitchell and his past transgressions against Mr. Flock himself. One final thing here before we get into some drafting. Go Easy Cards wants to know, who's your favorite? We had Blizzy and Rickadoozle drop an updated big board with odds last night, kind of factoring in the performances that they saw and were interpreting in those new submissions. But curious if you have anyone you like right now.
Yeah, I mean, sort of biased, but I think Tyler, PPR Tyler is my favorite. It's a chalk answer. I think he's everybody's favorite right now, but I've been a big fan of Tyler's for a while, and I think he's doing really, really doing a really, really good job in the contest in terms of, upping up the entertainment value, adding these wrinkles, how he has. Yeah, I think he's like probably my favorite right now, but little biased.
Yeah, it's it's so funny right now because we are at a point in the show where the challenges stand alone, but it's impossible in our minds to separate the body of work, right? And what they've done. These judges have often not seen the other content. So they're not really coming in with like, hey, this is what they've done. They're not grading on the entire thing, which has, been much to the chagrin of some of the contestants. But I did think it was interesting in the light of, PPR Tyler relative to his other submissions, I thought kind of took a back seat in this one. No one would watch that video and be like, you were center stage, which is kind of interesting because he has been center stage in almost everything he's done.
For sure. Yeah, no, that's very true. It's a fresh slate. It's a new series 0-0 every time that a challenge arises. So, you don't carry over those points that you earned. You got to show up every contest.
Yes. So like I said, it sounds like from the chat, from your reaction, people want the banger episode. I think I'm going to lean in that direction as well. I'll be sure to give you guys some fun breadcrumbs, but I want everything to really hit. And there's a lot of sequencing with this episode. And the other thing that's so fun, we're getting tons of confessionals from the guys now.
Good.
We got some last episode. A lot of them didn't end up coming into play as much, but with this Survivor episode and all the scheming and allegiances and alliances forming, we're going to have a lot of fun behind the scenes footage to feather in as well. So thank you guys all for sitting patiently there. And speaking of sitting patiently, Nez and I have both hopped into a pit bull draft here. We would love for you to come and draft with us. We have 8 more here. If you guys want to join us, like I said, 10 entry max, 100K up top, Nez. I mean, that's pretty nice here for a $20 tournament.
This is such an awesome tournament. I love the 20% to first, or, just the top heavier stuff to first for these side contests that Underdog's been doing. It's just like, I just think it's an awesome blend of both worlds where you get the puppy that's flatter, the BBM that's, a little top heavy, but still kind of flatter than this. And then making these top heavy. These, 10 entry max, for a tournament of this size, it is taking, understandably a while for the contest to get full. So I'm glad that, we're taking up the mantle and helping this thing get full here, or fill a little faster. I have, I think, 2 more entries left. So even myself, I'm a, part of the problem as to why this thing isn't filling fast enough. But, just because there's so much contest left, I'm trying to get these sharps out of here so I can do these last 2.
I know, man. I know it's tough. Like you said, you're grinding some of the NBA stuff. You're like looking over at World Cup. I'm sure you're still in the MLB streets. Like you said, I mean, something has to fall to the wayside. There simply is not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, no, it's tough. Like I've delegated a lot of my drafts to Shady, Pat, and Sack for the sidekick. Where like if I'm doing baseball drafts, I just have up the sidekick and I just click top guy for like the puppy if I'm trying to get some puppies in, and just seeing. It's also kind of fun to see like a full sidekick draft to see, what a portfolio looks like when I'm done, and also like what their teams look like and how they differ to what I would normally do, and try to take some of those lessons away and apply them to my own drafts, because I don't want to do that like my whole entire portfolio with the sidekick. But it is kind of like, trying to show some humility here and like and respect what these guys have done. I actually had Sack on the after dark, the no strip with me.
Oh, nice.
2 Fridays ago, and it was really, really fun conversation talking with him. And we did a thing where I give him the choice, first half or second half of draft. We could use the sidekick, at the other half we couldn't. And so we didn't use the sidekick for the first half, but he knew like every top guy without even seeing it.
I assume so, right? Like, although I will say too, I don't know if you saw Best Ball Breakfast and the build Pat and I did yesterday. Like,
I didn't see that yet.
Okay, we did a Bowers McBride team as suggested by the sidekick.
I did that too with Sack.
It actually got pretty wild here. You know what? I am on the clock here at the turn. I do not think I have any James Cook Barkley pairings here. Let me actually double check if that's true or not. Oh no, I do. I have one there. Or what is that? Two? Maybe two. I still like that duo, I guess. I can't come off that. I like some James Cook Barkley here.
Yeah, hard to feel bad about that one. That's just a very safe start. Kind of take your medicine when you're at the 12 hole there. John begging you to flip the board, but
I know. Yeah, and we've talked about that before. I do think in this time box contest, I mean, what are we looking at here? It's still about halfway filled, so it'll be open for a little bit. But what would you say this closes in a couple of weeks at this pace?
I would say probably like a month.
Okay.
Because there's gonna be new contests coming out as well. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a while, man. Yes. All right, man. AJ Brown, little past ADP, not having to pay a premium for him. Yeah, give me that.
We had a question in the chat here from Drew, who is asking if we could explain the new updated shield colors on Underdog. We've done this a few times, but you want to hit the man with the what these mean now?
Yeah, if you go on to the Underdog Drafts Twitter account, you're going to get a very detailed explanation. But essentially, we expanded from 2 badges to an array of badges that are, based on how many drafts you've done. I have the top badge. It's a diamond color that's over 100K. I would have to point you to the direction of the drafts account for you to see what the rest of the tiers are. But now we just have additional tiers for badges, which I think is like pretty cool. It gives people something to aim for if they're in a lower tier to try to gain that next level of badge. It's also a badge of honor, maybe badge of shame, depending on who you are. If you have over 100,000 drafts like me, but no shame over here. I'm proud of what I've done.
Did they post a picture of it? Oh, here we go.
Yep.
So here you go, Drew. Yeah, it goes 2,000 for that bronze, 5,000 for the silver. The yellow that I have is 10,000. The green 20K, purple 50K, and then that emerald 100K there. The true sickos.
Yeah, I'm proud to be one of the few, that have the greater than 100K. But I do kind of wish it was like purple, because I think purple really stands out on the app. When you see a purple badge, the contrast of it, of how it looks, really stands out. I think when you see mine, sometimes we're not sure if this is like a green badge. Sometimes the greens can take stolen valor and look like a diamond badge. So, but I think those who know, and that's what matters.
What do you? So Nez, you start Puka, AJ Brown, Olave. What are you doing with Rashee Rice now? Is he off your board, or is there a price for him for you?
No, I think his new ADP, like in the 30s, is very, very good. I'm personally not too worried at this price. I think this price is like a great risk reward to take on Rashee. He's probably going to be fine.
Yeah, man, I am not loving this spot at the turn. I love starting with Cook and Barkley. And then, it's like, do you take the plunge on Neighbors in this format? I've done a little bit of Ted Arroyo. It's just like I don't want to take Jacobs right now. I think I might just pull somebody up. I'm just going to pull up Scatabo. None of these wide receivers are speaking to me. I don't know, man. Like, what have you been doing in this range? I mean, you can make the case easily for Ted Arroyo, one of the receivers, but ugh.
No, yeah, it's the receivers I think at this range are tough. Burden is a ton of fun. I'm slowly getting my Chicago Bears exposure up and just living a little. I do think that we're paying too expensive of a price for Chicago, but maybe we're not. So I'm trying to get more Luther Burden, but I love the Scatabo pull up. Call me a simpleton, but seeing that dude do a backflip, just like my confidence is through the roof. I'm like, oh my God, dude, he's totally fine. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, wheels up, man. He's awesome. He's going to be a huge part of that offense with Malik Neighbors sidelined for likely the first 4 weeks, maybe even more.
If he wasn't coming off an injury and played the whole season, and let's just extrapolate, he was doing what he was doing the rest of the season. Where do you think his ADP is? Mid third, like right after Kyren and ahead of Javonte?
Second round?
You think, okay, you'd even go higher than that?
Yeah, he was electric. Like if he kept up that pace, second round for sure. For sure. He was catching balls, scoring touchdowns, good quarterback. I think that we would be way higher on him. And Tyrone Tracy probably gets like absolutely just, dusted and irrelevant.
Yeah. Tracy's definitely your classic handcuff bet against the Scatabo health, but it could also be one of those fancy zeros. The Blake Corum selection of previous years, the Trey Benson selection of previous years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still like the Tracy pick, but I'm excited to have those Scatabo shares that I do from early on when I was just like, I think he's going to be fine, and just kind of like trusted that he would be okay, and glad that he did a backflip.
All right, Nez, you've been talking about pulling off 0 RB. You've started 4 here: Puka, AJ Brown, Olave, Burden. Now on the clock. Are you going to keep pissing or detour?
No, this is definitely detour time. I think when you take 5 here, like you kind of have to live with 5, and I would like a little bit of flexibility to take another running back after this. So it's Bucky or Judkins for me, and I think I'm going to go Bucky. I think that we are paying enough of a discount on Bucky Irving that maybe the Bucs have a better offensive season than expected last year. Maybe Bucky stays healthy this year and puts up, some good numbers. Definitely not loving the fact that he got 0 goal line carries last year, but I think that had in part to do with the fact that he was dealing with that shoulder issue. I think this price on Bucky, especially on a 0 running back team, makes like a ton of sense, where if he does hit, this team is just absolutely like supercharged.
Yeah. I think, he's been falling. I've seen him. I think I took him at pick 61 in one, but I think in this small field and with your start, you just pull the trigger on it and see what you can do.
Yeah.
What do I want to do here? I think Jordan Tyson has been my guy. I've been kind of passing on the Rome, the Brian Thomas, the Marvin Harrison, and I don't want to be full fade on those guys, but I think I just want to re-roll the bet of an elite prospect and not try to take on the downside risk, because it's like the way I would think about it, and tell me if you disagree, would be the floor for all of these guys is low. Like any of those guys, Rome, Thomas, Harrison, Tyson, you could see just not delivering on ADP.
Yeah.
But I think the ceiling for Tyson has to be greater than kind of what it is for these other guys based on how their careers have gone. Like that new information has to mean something.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the evil you don't know definitely trumps like what we've seen so far for these guys in their career so far. Maybe you can make a case for Brian Thomas, but that does seem like a lot of hopium. I guess we have 2 samples here, but it's definitely a what have you done for me lately type of thing with Brian Thomas, and he has a ton of competition around him. Whereas Tyson, clear wide receiver 2. We know he has an electric profile with a ton of upside. Yeah, I'm with you. And then other names around here: Marvin Harrison, Alec Pierce. Pierce a fine play, but yeah, Tyson I think way more upside. And you're going to take a lot of wide receivers in this draft too. Like you have to, so you can easily find some veterans to kind of shelter. I did auto draft there.
Shelter, I was gonna make sure that you knew you were on the clock there.
No, I need to turn off my. I need to keep a little vibration going in the pocket there. But Tyler Warren's not a big deal for me.
It was all part of my long con. I said Nez and I square off. I will have him talk about my picks for a long time to the point he forgets about his own picks, and I will win that way.
I think I would have probably taken Ramondre there if I could have, because I'd like to take a quarterback on the way back, and I was definitely going to try to push it to see if I could. But Tyler Warren's totally fine. That sets up Danny Dimes later.
Yep. So Nez has the 4 wide receivers, then goes Bucky, Tyler Warren in the 6th. The other pick I made along with Tyson, I double tapped rookies there. I went Jatarian Price as my 4th running back,
Nice guys.
along with Wilson and Tyson. And now Nez is going to be on the clock here. Were you hoping Hurts fell back to you there?
I was hoping for Drake
May.
May or Caleb Williams, and this guy is Loveland, and he's going to sprint to the podium to take Caleb Williams here. So yeah, there we go. So now it's a running back for me. I was going to take Ramondre. Now that I see Warren versus Ramondre, I do think it's a little interesting. I think Warren is like less likely to lose a ton of work than Ramondre is. So I'm actually going to go Jaylen Warren.
That's a really good one to think through. And I actually just wrote about Trevion Henderson in the newsletter today. I started thinking about him. Sam and I took him in a draft on Best Ball Breakfast. And then there was the report that he's been working exclusively on his pass blocking and receiving this offseason. And it's one of those things where this could look really bad at a 4th round price tag with Henderson, where it's the most expensive handcuff you could pay, which is essentially what happened in the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl when it mattered. On the flip side, like you said, if he earns that trust, last year he played 43% of the snaps. Ramondre was at 52%. If you get Henderson flipping even up into the 60-65% range, now you have enough standalone value there where I think he can play as far as to his ceiling. And then you have the monster contingent upside if Ramondre misses games, because he had an RB3, RB4, and RB3 in 3 games last year without Ramondre. So
yeah, that's the thing, right? He showed out when Ramondre was hurt, which was huge, because before Ramondre got hurt, sorry, I'll let you can.
No, you're good. I got my cue in.
Okay. Before Ramondre got hurt, we saw Trevion, and the whole story was like, wow, he is really inefficient. He is bad. He is not playing better than Ramondre. You have to play Ramondre, and Ramondre is playing really well. Then Ramondre gets hurt, and we see Trevion break out. That was extremely important to see, I think, for drafting this year, where you can write off a lot of the inefficiencies to being a rookie in a new system. And now, in year 2, another year with the head coach there, I think you can bank on more trust and just for the coach using him offensively, and an easier path to having a smash season than just Ramondre getting hurt, which is clearly what we're paying for. And there is still some risk there, but I really like the upside for Trevion.
Yeah. And to go back to your point there, like the Ramondre pick from a late season standpoint is way more fragile than the Warren. Like Warren's less likely to probably have as much early season production maybe or whatever, but his late season projection has to be safer than Ramondre's.
I think so. I think Ramondre can really lose a ton of work here if things go wrong. All right, got a quarterback here, Dart and Stafford. Also have Monangai looking at me. I'm gonna go Monangai. I will say he's not my favorite click right now, but on this team, I'm okay with it, and I still think that he does have a chance to earn some work. The team likes him. He got a lot of work last year, which is good as a rookie. But I definitely think we are always trying to bet on the Swift downfall, and it just never happens. But he should still see a good amount of work. Like Swift is not a workhorse at the end of the day.
Yep. Yeah. Sam and I did a similar Monangai pick where he slid, and neither of us had taken him much, but there are certain builds where those points are going to be a necessity for an anchor 0 RB team. So you add Warren and Monangai there in the 7th and 8th. The 2 picks I made after I took Jadarian Price as my 4th running back was Jordan Addison, Chris Godwin. It's a spot that's pretty interesting. I feel like if you are using the sidekick, you'll often be getting served up the naked quarterback in that spot, the Mahomes, maybe Lawrence, maybe it's even pulling up a Brock Purdy. I've kind of enjoyed doing my IKB there of let me catch up at wide receiver and also give me more quarterback outs. Give me Baker, give me Kyler. I have Shuck with Tyson. I have Geno with Garrett Wilson, and just kind of keep stacking wide receivers here and trust that I can figure out the quarterback in the window.
Yeah, I really like that there. Addison, a lot of upside. Like you do need a combination of upside because you didn't draft high capital wide receivers that already have that upside baked in, and that's Jordan Addison there, and then Godwin, who, being the veteran presence there to kind of balance out that the Tyson and Addison pick there. So I really like how you're approaching this team. I do want to say the guy next to me, Who Days, mogging the hell out of me, doing exactly what I'm trying to do, but doing what I wanted to do, doing it better than me. So yeah, if you want to just pretend I'm drafting from the 3 and not the 4.
There you go. Yeah. You add Matthew Stafford there with Puka. We're seeing some tight ends start to come off the board here. Kyle Pitts, Fannin. Dart, I was kind of thinking would be fun if he fell to do the Dart and Scatabo combo here.
That would be fun.
Casey Concepcion at 106. Feel good getting out in front of this wide receiver run. This board for me is looking a lot like a quarterback double tap. I'm for sure going to take Kyler here. This is right at ADP. I have Addison. I guess the question is, do I take like a Bo Nix, a Jordan Love? I could also grab another wide receiver. I could do another running back. I think I will take Bo Nix. Like, I think there's some stuff you can do with him a little later, and we'll take a stab on him.
Yeah, I'd feel good about the Bo Nix pick. If you are looking to backstack it, obviously there's a lot of cheap options like in the 18th round to do so. And he just feels fine to do naked as well. If you end up not stacking him, it's obviously not the end of the world and no big deal.
Yep. What, let's see, what was I gonna say here with, are there any other tweaks that you are making for these smaller field contests? Or because I assume like a 0 RB build like this, you would pull this off or attempt this in BBM just as well, right?
Yeah, there's no difference here in my mindset necessarily and what I'm trying to do. I'm not sure if it makes more or less sense to try to like grab a falling knife in the time box. I think it probably makes more sense to like take a risk on someone like Neighbors or even Jacobs for that matter. There goes Shuck, man. I was really hoping to stack Chris Olave there, but that's fine. Yeah. I might steal your Baker. I might go Goff.
You're good.
I'm gonna go Goff. Apologies to the Lions drafters in here, but one thing drafting with the sidekick has kind of taught me is that stacking may be a little overrated and getting some high scoring QBs may be a little underrated. And Jared Goff, I'll throw my hat in the ring, the most underrated quarterback in the last 5 years for fantasy purposes. There's just nobody that puts up 4,500 yards in his sleep like Jared Goff does. Baker's done that once in the last 5 years. And Jared Goff does that every single year. It's unbelievable.
Yep. Let's hit a couple questions in the chat. Man, this is a hard one from Go Easy Cards. What combo that is now unattainable do you wish you would have gotten more of early on? What would be the steamiest combo? I mean, the Drake May, AJ Brown is like the chalk answer.
Yeah. I'm not an ADP historian enough like that to have that answer off the top of my head like that. So, I mean, awful streamer here, but like, I don't even know off the top of my head what I would say to that. Maybe there's definitely a running back that I think has like steamed up a good bit. Maybe some of the early like Montgomery combos, like I know like he was going way cheaper earlier, and I think if I could do some Montgomery at the 5-6 turn, I believe he was available there to start drafts. That would be like a pretty fun way to draft from the 12 hole.
Yeah. Does anyone else in the chat have any other suggestions for that? I'm curious. Also, I got logged out of one of my boards here, so I'm trying to get the screen back up for all of you guys. Matt was asking, how high do you think the correlation is between Puka and Stafford? I have a feeling people are pairing Adams and Stafford less, but maybe reading it wrong. You have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think for Stafford, it makes more sense. Like if you are thinking who it benefits more, I think benefits Puka more to have Stafford stacked, but Adams you don't need to have stacked. And for Stafford, I think Stafford is better stacked with Adams than Nakua because it's the touchdowns. That those correlate, much stronger. They provide you more value than what Puka does. But just because Puka didn't score a lot of touchdowns with Adams on the field doesn't mean it can't happen. He still ended up with 10 touchdowns last year. He was unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, I would say that Matt Stafford and Devontae is more powerful, but yeah, it's Puka, man. You don't need to stack them.
And I think that would be the classic. I don't want to be overly precise with how I think about correlation. Obviously, yes. Adams' season was dominant last year because of how they used him at the goal line. But we also know touchdowns aren't that sticky year to year. It would not be crazy to see the pendulum swing back to Puka. It's not like he's a non-factor in the red zone. If they want to scheme up Puka in the red zone, they can do that. So I want to just bank on the leading target earner on a team having a lot of correlation with their quarterback. I don't think you want to overthink that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't think it's a must, but it absolutely, like, it makes sense. It's literally like DFS 101. I took Daniel Jones there, by the way, for my third quarterback. And I think with my quarterback room, like, obviously I think everybody would want to go 3 quarterbacks, but I just need to, be on the record that I am not totally bought into the 3 quarterbacks or dust mentality that I think a lot of people are sort of like, because it's very in vogue right now to be 3 triples at the onesies. I don't think it's totally necessary in this day and age. I'm way more comfortable doing 2 quarterback builds, depending on who they are, of course, than I think most people.
It's also worth mentioning again the advanced structure for this one.
Sure.
So it's the 2 of 12, which is typical. We're all familiar with that. Same as BBM, your puppies. But then you get to week 15 and it's only 1 of 6. It's a really small pod. Week 16 is even smaller, 1 of 5. And then you have a moderately sized final 156 there. So you'll want a little of that week 17 correlation for sure. You'll want some of that stacking, but it will be a lot easier to survive some middling scores at some positions when you're only going against 5 or 4 other teams.
Yep. Yeah, that's it is a pretty nice advanced structure in that regard.
I did as well go with the third QB. I was not planning on it here. I had in my back pocket, maybe Geno with Garrett Wilson late, but then Baker fell from pick 118 ADP all the way to 133. And with my Godwin, I was like, you know what? I will scoop up that value and shut it down at quarterback.
Yeah, that was a sick fall for you. And then getting Kincaid there to start off your tight end room, get a Kincaid breakout and see what happens here.
Yeah, had to, he's not a guy that feels good to click.
He doesn't.
But it's also, again, one of those where the question marks you have on him, you could see them evaporate. Like if you separate the health stuff, like just the talent there, and maybe he is better suited to be more the number 2, number 3, be a little bit more efficient, not be the focal point. Let DJ Moore take some of that heat. I don't know. Let's see here. I've been doing either Denzel Boston or Antonio Williams here. We can do I went Antonio Williams. I was shuffling them in my queue at the last minute. I'll grab an Antonio Williams. I also grabbed Jawan Johnson, paired him up with Tyson.
Love Jawan Johnson there. And you do get some Bills correlation just as a team bet with Kincaid and James Cook on this team. Yeah, you mentioned DJ Moore, and I don't think DJ Moore at this point in his career is a superstar. Maybe he can, reascend to his peak, but I really think that people maybe are underselling what his addition to this team does. I think it's massive, and I'm kind of team Josh Allen is a fine pick, maybe not a good pick, but a fine pick as opposed to like worst pick on the board. Because of, what DJ Moore opens up for this offense and allows just everybody to do, just taking the attention off of so many guys, opening things up. I think it's going to be a pretty fun year for the Bills offense.
Yeah. So you are now on the clock. You mentioned Daniel Jones. You snuck in Bill in between the Goff and Jones, grabbed Algier, and now who's the selection for you in the 14th?
Dalton Schultz here. Just gonna take some points for this tight end room. Probably a 3 tight end room, but we'll see. I'm totally fine with making this 2 with Warren and Schultz. If Schultz can run back his 2025 that you were such a big beneficiary of, that would be wonderful. Yeah, and then I took Algier there just as a, potentially some standalone value and obviously strong handcuff value, as we all like Algier. And I'm slowly kind of coming around to the Cardinals. I was, I put out a tweet saying that I didn't like Jeremiah Love's price and for this reason and that, but what if the Cardinals offense, if you just look at the offense in a vacuum, like this is kind of a fun offense, man. Like what if they're just good? Like what if they're just better than people think? So
did you get a lot of pushback on the tweet?
Not really. No, I think most people agreed. There were a few people that, I would consider ball knowers that were like, you don't get it. He's too good. Like that's not a good enough reason. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe you guys are right. Maybe,
yeah.
I could be dead wrong on this thing. I'm going to go Hawkinson here. I don't think he's falling back to you anyways, Pete, to grab my 3rd tight end.
I think the thing, it's hard to not say there's risk with Jeremiah Love, right? I don't think anyone disagrees with the ceiling scenarios, but like we literally just did this with Ashton Genty. He's too good, man. He can't fail. And it's, well, he might be too good, but the quarterback might suck. The offensive line might suck. It might be out of his control to deliver on that price tag. But I think the counterpoint would be if he were in a better environment, he'd be the 106, 107.
Definitely. Definitely. Right. I mean, so at that point, I'm asking myself, do we have the risk fully baked in? Is it baked in enough? Probably, especially when you can shield him, Jeremiah Love, with Gibbs or Bijan. Like if you do that, I think you are absolutely like insulated from any ups and downs from Jeremiah Love. And then when he spikes, you're just having monster weeks.
Yep. I think what I'm going to do here is go Bucks maxing. Yeah. I am going to take Ted Hurst to double stack Baker, and then I'm going to take Cade Otton to triple stack Baker.
Yep. Yeah, that was a good move for you. You needed a 3rd tight end. Otton is he's basically like last call for comfortable tight ends to take late in drafts. The last 3 rounds of tight ends, I think, are pretty gross. I don't really love it. And I think last year was different. And maybe I was just overconfident, but I do think that the late tight ends are pushed up maybe more than people think. Cause I don't hear a lot of people like saying the same thing that I am when it comes to tight end pricing. So I like that you grabbed Otton for the stack and to get that 3rd tight end.
Yeah. To give people reference on ADP best available from here at tight end, it's Pat Freiermuth, Greg Dulcich, Njoku, as Crutches says here, Terrence Ferguson, Eraser. I see what you did with the spelling there as well. Little T-Bear nod. Mike Gesicki, Colby Parkinson, Jake Tongas, Darnell Washington. So yeah, I mean, I think Freiermuth, if you wanted to say Freiermuth and Dulcich are kind of a part of that as far as guys you think will be full-time players, but even Freiermuth, right? Like there's questions about what if Darnell Washington, really sees an uptick, and that kind of hurts Freiermuth a little bit. So yeah, it gets dicey from like a pure route standpoint at this juncture.
And I take a lot of Terrence Ferguson, but I'm still not entirely sure that Colby Parkinson is just like dusted. I mean, he scored 8 touchdowns last year. He's got the funny dance. Like they clearly like him. Is Ferguson just going to step into that role just because they raved about him when they selected him? I'm not entirely sure.
Yep. We have, Nez, we can do a recap on our teams here after your 17th round pick as we enter the home stretch. You since added Hawkinson as your 3rd tight end, Nicholas Singleton as part of your 0 RB room. What are you cooking here?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a rookie wide receiver for my fifth wide receiver in the 17th round with Zachariah Branch, who's getting a little buzz right now, and I think that the Falcons are going to start Michael Penix this season. I think he looked pretty decent at the end of last year. The way that they're kind of talking about the QB competition, they're not even saying like Tua is the quarterback until Penix comes back. They're just like, we got to wait till Penix comes back before we make a decision. So I think that it's going to be Michael Penix if and when he returns, and he can sling that shit, man. And if they don't add anybody in Atlanta, there's rumors that they add Diggs. Branch is just potentially a huge riser if they don't make any additions to this wide receiver room. If Diggs goes somewhere else, Debo goes somewhere else, Keenan goes somewhere else, then it's just Branch at wide receiver 2 sitting all alone. It's becomes a really fun rookie pick.
There is going to be a lot of movement, I think, with training camp hype for these rookie wide receivers. Like so many of them flirting with that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 range. You know, one guy I'm probably going to take here with one of my 2 picks, Chris Brazzell, like another guy, the Ted Hurst, the Brazzells, the Jeremys, the Zachariah Branch, like whichever one of these guys really starts to get that drumbeat. I mean, I think we'll see a 3-4 round move just because there's no resistance at the other, wide receivers to like get up near the Omar Cooper range. Like, I don't think that would be crazy.
Yeah. And I guess there's no such thing as like a free roll in best ball because we don't want to take zeros, but relative to normal rookie wide receiver prices, these are like smashes, like we have really no further certainty than we did last year other than, prospect profiles, which, and those do count for something. We have evidence to show that data and that level of research matters, but we are still treating this class as though it's dead, I think, and just has no shot of returning value. And at these, baked in prices, it makes so much sense to draft guys like that at the end.
I went yin and yang with my final 2 picks, Brazzell and then Cooper Kupp. I'm bored of drafting him in BBM, but this is my first pit bull. So Cooper Kupp on a Jadarian Price team where I, need a little bit more wide receiver stability checks that box.
Yeah, I like the Cooper Kupp pick, man. I think he's like a very good pick. He was better than people think last year. All right, man. I could take Wicks, but I think I'm going to do something a little more controversial and take another running back and take Jordan James here for my 7th running back and draft a 5 wide receiver team on stream.
I love it. I mean, you mentioned there when you do the 4 up top, I mean, if you go a 5th wide receiver right away, you're shutting it down. You saved it for the in there with Branch. Obviously need to catch up at running back. I mean, we used to do the 2-7-7-2s a lot for 0 RB. You end up with a 3-7-5-3 here. I guess maybe the one thing, like, could you have pulled off a Hawkinson swap to a wide receiver and rocked a Warren and Schultz build here and gotten that extra wide receiver?
I think I could have, but I just don't think that it makes sense. The bet has been made. I took 4 wide receivers with my first 4 picks. If 3 of those guys are not hitting my lineup, and hopefully 4 of them are hitting my lineup most of the time until like one of these running backs gets a situation change that allows them to spike and be big producers here, I don't think it's worth it to go ahead and add like that wide receiver where I can instead get a 3rd tight end in Hawkinson, where he's sort of like, if I don't draft Hawkinson and I want that 3rd tight end that could potentially hit my flex, then I'm screwed because now without Hawkinson there, you take Otten, Barner's gone. I'm looking at Njoku. It's in that no man's land that I just said that I don't like.
Yeah, no. And I think that was one of the things I was talking about with Pat on Best Ball Breakfast. And yesterday we ended up with a really, really thin running back room with just 4. And Sean Tucker was our 4th running back. And basically what we were kind of talking through of this idea and what the Sims have kind of revealed for Pat is not to make bad picks or subpar picks just because of positional needs, and, finding the best possible picks for your team and maybe supercharging a strength as opposed to trying to chase a perceived weakness is something that I kind of took away from that conversation.
Yeah, that's something that I think that's a mindset that I've had for a while, especially when it comes to zero RB drafting, where I was like, okay, cool. I drafted 4 wide receivers. Like I'm good. I really do not need many more. And then, watch more content, saw what other people were doing. And I was like, okay, maybe it's actually like okay to spam wide receiver and, just, have an embarrassment of riches at the position. And then you look at the Sims, you see what's done well. And, I think it's way more important to just like make your bet and like what story are you telling with the start of your draft and how do you make it make sense and kind of reverse engineer it from there. The one thing that the Sidekick definitely does is, I think it's leaving me with some pretty thin running back rooms as well, or running back rooms that I perceive as thin, but it's because it's making, extremely lopsided bets on, mispriced running backs at the moment. So I can understand where it's coming from. And it's also saying, oh, we only need 2 of these guys. Or at least that's what I think it's telling me. It's like, you actually only going to need 2 of these. We're going to flex a tight end. We're going to flex a wide receiver. You're actually going to be A-okay.
Yep. Yeah. Our brains still have a hard time wrapping our head around how these players' points hit our lineup. And it's easier for us to kind of pattern match. We've gotten so good over the years at understanding draft capital spent at each position. We know, any of us who have done these just know, like, okay, I need the running back here. I need the wide receiver. But it seems like the math is just pushing us in a slightly more uncomfortable direction there, which is fun. Let's do a quick recap of these 2 teams we drafted. 3-4-8-3 for me, Kyler Bo Nix and Baker Mayfield. I ended up with just naked Bo Nix, which I think is fine in this format. Yeah. The 4 running backs, I did do Cook, Barkley, Scatabo through 37 picks, tacked on Price there in the 6th round, and then just shut it down. Caught up at wide receiver with Garrett Wilson, Jordan Tyson, Jordan Addison, Chris Godwin, Antonio Williams, Ted Hurst, Chris Brazel, Cooper Kupp. And then the 3 tight end build, Kincaid, Jawan Johnson, and Cade Otton. I like the Minnesota stuff, the Tampa Bay stuff. Mostly like this team, how it turned out there. Nez, recap yours for us as well.
Yeah, I really like your team. I went 3-7-5-3 with Stafford, Goff, and Daniel Jones for my quarterback room. Running back room is Bucky Irving, Jalen Warren, Kyle Monangai, Jacory Krosky-Merritt, Tyler Algier, Nicholas Singleton, and Jordan James. And then wide receiver room, Puka Nacua, AJ Brown, Chris Olave, Luther Burden, and Zachariah Branch for some rookie spice there at the end. And then Tyler Warren, Dalton Schultz, and TJ Hawkinson for my tight end room. I don't expect a lot of people to like this team that I drafted, but I will say I do like it.
I think the sliding doors moment for your team, if you don't auto Warren, do you think you pull the trigger on May there, or do you still try to push him around?
I was pretty set on pushing him around, but maybe if I had done because I don't think that May pick was stacked. I mean, it was stacked with Trevion, but I didn't expect May to go. So I thought I could have gotten a quarterback in return there. So I probably still wouldn't have gone quarterback, but in hindsight, I obviously wish I did.
Yeah.
All fun.
Yeah, always hard to know. Yeah, 101. We did hop in another one here. We're going to do another pit bull. If you're just tuning in, this is the $20 entry, 10 entry max, 100K to first. It's a smaller contest, 28,000 entrants, 2 of 12 advance from the regular season, 1 of 6 week 15, 1 of 5 week 16, but then back to a moderately sized final with 156, but super fun to have a smaller contest like this with a really viable path to the finals that still pays out 100K up top.
Yep, for sure. So I got asked a question whenever I was on with Fanspeak, whenever they were doing they did like a 24-hour stream there. It was like Steve and Meg, and Steve asked me if I preferred seasons where the 101 is definitive, or if there's, a bit of ambiguity like this year, or at least at the time there was, with Bijan and Gibbs. And I said I really like when there's definitive 101s, because if I feel differently, I can get some really strong edge on the field. I, faded CD when he was the 101. And now that I think more and more people think that Gibbs is the certified bona fide 101, think I'm going to do a little bit more Bijan drafting at the 101 and try to see how over the field I can get.
So I like that, the thought in general, but like in practice, for that to have a meaningful effect on your portfolio, it really is more like the combos you're mixing up at the 2-3 turn, or because I mean, wouldn't you say there's a decent amount of ambiguity at the 2-3 turn as well, where your combos with Gibbs and those guys can often be same as the combos with Bijan? Or is it just as simple as I want to be more overweight Bijan and underweight Gibbs?
I think I just want to have a ton of Bijan.
Okay.
I agree. Like, I am going to have the solver with me to very meticulously track those Bijan combos, especially if I'm following through with what I'm saying. It would be asinine to just, hammer, unless there was some guys at the 2-3 turn who I'm really confident about, and there's really not. So yeah, I do want to be cognizant of those combos, but I think here's, other than just like being a contrarian, which I love to be, I think the thing that people are missing is that Bijan has really never had an ideal situation. And I'm not saying this year is going to be the ideal situation, but in these uphill circumstances, he still puts up nearly 2,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns. And if the Falcons are better than we expect, like, what does Bijan do with a good situation when things are like really, really good and we didn't expect them to be? What are we looking at from Bijan? I mean, we're looking at potentially one of like the craziest seasons ever. And Gibbs, I think, really needs his full upside scenario to really, really get home. And I think the Lions are going to be a good team. I don't really have a lot of worries about them, but it's definitely, second year without Ben Johnson, things could not be as, awesome as we expect. So I get Gibbs gets the offensive like security boost over Bijan, but man, I just think Bijan has done it in, no matter what the situation is, that I actually think that gives him a little bit of safety.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the Bijan case is so simple. Like you said, I mean, he's been awesome. He has the floor with the pass catching. He has the breakaway runs. Maybe he doesn't have the speed or athleticism of Gibbs, but the guy can still house it.
Yeah.
And now you don't have Tyler Algier, and you could potentially get a quarterback upgrade, but most likely it's holding serve to what he's had. So yeah, I mean, the Algier thing seems like the biggest one. Like, he's seeded a lot of work over the years. And the question is just how much can they saddle him up with? Could we, because we've seen some of those Jonathan Taylor games, right, where he would get like 28, 29 carries, 30 touches. I feel like, maybe someone could correct me, but it feels like Bijan's workload is always kind of like, he's a true bell cow, but they're not like going to give this dude 35 touches when you have Tyler Algier. Could this be the year that you see some 30 touch games for him?
Right. It's a new coaching staff too. So we really have no idea how they look and treat Bijan on their team. They could be willing to load him up. They could treat Brian Robinson as a 1-to-1 to Algier, and that hurts the upside. I think that there's a lot of possibilities there. Okay, on the clock here, I'm going to go Jeremiah Love. We're going to do a way different build than I did last time and go pretty high T, and also go Breece Hall.
Nice.
Going to go complete opposite of last time.
Nez starts with the Bijan Love Breece. I am in the 10 hole. I took CD, and then we saw 4 running backs go. Cook, Genty, the drafter in the 12 pulled up Chase Brown there, and then Barkley went, and I grabbed Kenneth Walker, my first CD Lamb Kenneth Walker pairing this year. I don't know if I have blinders or rose-colored glasses, but like, once Genty, Cook, Barkley are off the board, like, to me, Walker is kind of last of a tier.
Yep.
And then I'm more like Henry, H.N., Hampton, Love. So I always feel good grabbing Walker before that next gap.
Yeah, I think I'd put Henry right after Walker, but Walker is such a fun pick, right? It's just like all upside with him on the Chiefs. Like, this is one of the sickest landing spots you could ask for Ken Walker. I mean, it's always such a fun team to draft Ken Walker and start your running back room like that.
Yeah, and then I was like, maybe this is the team with KC where I grab like the Rashi Rice, but then Rick, who's in the chat, went ahead and grabbed him here. I think I'll just do the teammate thing with CD. I'll grab Javonte Williams here
Okay.
and just play into this offense being the one you need this year.
Yeah, I like doing that a lot. I don't know that the Sims see like as much of a boost as I do with that, but I really do love just like a team bet. Like, what if this team just rocks? Like everybody can feast if they're just like uber efficient.
Yeah, and it's also nice too. It's not like Dak is super expensive. You can still pull
Yeah.
off the stack pretty reliably. You got to compete with the Pickens drafter for him, but it's also not the end of the world if you just rock Lamb and Javonte together.
For sure, and they are, I think, back to back. There's one QB of separation between Caleb and Dak, but I would take Dak straight up.
I'm going to mix it up a little bit here. Last round in this spot, I pulled up Scatabo. I'm going to pull up Evans just a smidge here. I really struggle. Maybe I'm just bored of selecting Tetaroya in here, but I think it's more like a reflection of thinking he's kind of part of this tier here. And if you want to do Ladd, if you want to do McLaurin, you want to do Igbuka, like I'm not going to give you too much pushback, but I'm going to go ahead and just pull up Evans here.
Yeah, Tetaroya has the Bryce Young, stench on him too, which I think Bryce Young is fine and will be able to feed McMillan like he did last year, but I think that's also part of it too. It doesn't feel awesome to take McMillan, but a second year with that coach there with Canales, we could see a leap for McMillan where it's like, oh my gosh, like why second year guy, first wide receiver off the board last year. Why were we not drafting this guy in the second round, third round? Like he's very little target competition, a lot of upside for McMillan, but there's obviously the downside is very evident. I mean, Bryce Young got benched last year.
Yeah. What you are going to pick here at the 4-5 turn with 3 running backs here? You going to go a fourth?
I was thinking about it, but I love the Waddle Adams double tap here that I'm just like not even gonna think twice about it and grab these two. It is kind of fun to do 4 and shut it down here and just get like 4 absolute studs. It's also fun to even detour further from wide receiver and grab an elite QB or Colston Loveland with this type of build and then just spam wide receivers. But Waddle and Devontae with this start here just feels so freaking nice.
Yeah, it's a good one. I think, again, like the way our brains even think about structural strategies where it's like, oh man, I'm going to do robust RB, get that 4th running back. But if you really are trying to get these wide receivers who have the potential to deliver high-end spike weeks consistently throughout the season, that profile just isn't going to be there at the 6-7 turn.
Nope. And yeah, wide receiver is not hard to patch up with volume, but I think I'm really going to like the way this team looks based on those selections than doing Colston Loveland and being left with, a wide receiver 2 of somebody of much shakier caliber than Devontae.
I did Jadarian Price last draft. I think I took my first Judkins share on my solo best ball breakfast draft. I'll go ahead and grab another Judkins share here. I think he's fine. And for me, Tyson and Tate are so close. I'm just letting people take Tate here, and I'm kind of content to grab Tyson in early 6th.
Yeah.
So I'll just grab the running back and kind of let the room decide for me which wide receiver, because once Price comes off the board, by ADP, there's a gap from 58 Jadarian Price down to 70 Chuba Hubbard. So this is like a dead zone for running back anyway. So I figured just lock that up.
Yeah, I think if I was going to like label the dead zone this year, it would probably be like the start of Chuba Hubbard. Like, and the ADP reflects that, where there's a lot less confidence there. And we're just kind of like, oh, well, these are running backs that we need. I think this is really where it starts and where there's a lot of uncertainty. And maybe you could even say Judkins starts that. I'll let you make this pick.
Yeah, this is the the spot I kind of struggle with because I don't love BTJ here. And so with my board flat, I'm just going to pivot to Jaden Daniels and get my elite naked quarterback here at 63.
There you go. Brandon Ayuk, pretty cheap in the 17th for you there if you want to.
Are you penciling that in?
Oh, dude, he's a commander. He's a commander.
All right.
What's happening just doesn't make sense. I don't know. Maybe I'm overrating, the Ayuk's ability to get what he wants, but I think he's for sure a commander. They're just playing hardball. But maybe they can do that. Maybe they don't have to budge at all.
Yeah. Again, he's so cheap that, even if he's not a commander, it's not like you're going to be mad that you take late round Ayuk if he lands somewhere else. But
it'd be weird for him to not play football this year. It'd be really weird.
It would be. What's up, Emo? What's up, Steven? Seth says, I would hate to see your BTJ bags. Yeah, I wrote about this in the Fantasy Life newsletter last week. The Parker Washington bros are a very heated bunch. They get upset at you. There's the Brian Thomas Jr. guys. I just think there's a lot of floor with both of those selections at their current prices. And it's so funny too, because like one day Shipley's saying Parker Washington is the best player he's ever seen play football on the field. And then the next day he's like, oh my God, Brian Thomas Jr. is a new person. And we're still not even talking about the guy who just absolutely mogged all of them as a wide receiver prospect, who is somehow the cheapest of all four wide receivers there. So I don't know. I'm going to be playing the Jags through the cheaper options this year, mostly.
Yeah, I'm with you. I am sort of getting some FOMO on the Jags receivers because I'm right now I'm team Jacoby and Hunter, and Hunter, it's all up, it's not all, well, I guess it is all upside and a ton of downside. But yeah, the Parker and BTJ range, I really don't take a lot of either of those guys, but I do worry that BTJ bounces back and just does what he did rookie season. And, he says that he was hurt last year and that it's like he feels brand new. And then Parker Washington just like crushed, dude. He was just really good at the end of last year. And how do you fully dismiss that? I am right now because I am team like show me twice for a guy that hasn't done it before. But I can respect people's ability to just like, hey, I saw him be good. He was better than the guys on the field that are being drafted. I'm going to take him. And the team does like Parker Washington. It's not like we're getting bad buzz out of camp. The way that I approach best ball these days is, I don't really like to buy the top.
Yeah, for sure. You grabbed Metcalf in May here. You were not going to miss out on May in this second draft.
Yeah, I had to stack across the universe there. I didn't really love any of the wide receivers that were there other than Metcalf, and the running backs were that kind of dead zone-y bunch there that I just didn't think made sense to add as a fourth on this team. I thought the points I could buy were better spent elsewhere than, potentially a running back that never starts for me.
Yep. I went ahead and grabbed Jaden Reed there. I have Jaden Daniels, Kenneth Walker, Javonte Williams, Judkins, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, and Jaden Reed. It was kind of a choose-your-own-adventure wide receiver pick there for me. Godwin, who I had just done in the previous draft. Sutton's there. Downs is there. But went ahead and grabbed Reed.
Nice.
And we'll see what we do here at 8-3. Do you have any favorites in this range of kind of those names I mentioned?
In terms of the just anybody or specifically wide receiver?
I guess the wide receivers, like how flat is that tier for you?
It's pretty flat. I'm really growing on Michael Wilson now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember Angelix from the Dog Bowl, second place finisher. I just recently found out that he followed me on Twitter, and I followed him back, and he's a great follow. He's got takes all the time and whatnot, but he shared this clip of Trey Benson in a podcast interview talking about Michael Wilson, and he was just raving about Michael Wilson. Just like, oh, we knew like Mike's the truth. Like we knew Mike was the truth, and you got to see it. And he goes, Marv the truth though. Like he had to make sure that he also said that Marv was good, but like, wow, you could tell he thinks like the world of Michael Wilson.
Well, aren't those two? I mean, those two duos on the Jags and the Cardinals of like the prospect that Brian Thomas was and what he did at the end of his rookie year, who we thought Marvin Jones was or Marvin Harrison was, and then their teammates, the much more unheralded Michael Wilson and Parker Washington, but the guys who have actually earned targets, have shown, a ceiling, specifically in the case of Michael Wilson, that what do you want to bet on? Do you want to keep going back, wind it back to the prospect profile? Or do you want to say, what have you done for me lately? And Parker Washington and Michael Wilson have certainly shown me more lately.
I know, right? That's really the puzzle that we're trying to put together here. And it's always been that, but I'm kind of, lately I've been a little bit more, maybe not a boomer, but I guess a nerd in that, like, I'm trying to be careful about relinquishing my priors, but the FOMO setting in for a lot of these guys, and I can't help myself. All right, pick 98. This is a huge fall on Godwin, so I'm going to take Godwin here. Just do what I know is best practice, and then probably gonna take another quarterback here. And Stafford stacks, but man, Jackson Dart here also a ton of fun with Drake May, and now I don't have to take another quarterback. I feel very, very good about this quarterback room.
This is one of those rooms that is like, this team is for sure going to be in first place after like 4 weeks. Like, I mean, when you have those running backs, those quarterbacks, and then you get the veterans, Waddle, Adams, Metcalf, Godwin, I guess Love could maybe get off to a slow start, but otherwise this team is getting off to a very fast start.
Yeah, this is a very, week one ass team here for sure. I am going to look back at this team and see, oh man, this team's cooking, and it's week 3.
Well, but again, this structure, right, where you're not rewarded quite as much other than week 17. Like, you want to book in, like, you want to advance, and then you want to have some week 17 correlation, but a 1 of 5, 1 of 6 pod in 15, 16, like, it's the ultimate, just get there, and then let the variance fall on your side with those small pods.
Absolutely. It's not something I'm trying to, overfit for, especially in this, because of, it's just like you said, just get there and have a good team, have a healthy team, and hope that you're cooking.
All right, let's see here. I am on the clock. I have Jaden Daniels and my 3 running backs, Walker, Javonte, and Judkins. I got my 4 wide receivers, Lamb, Evans, Reed, and Downs. This is kind of a tier break at wide receiver. I don't have any stacking stuff I have to do now that Kyler and Purdy are off the board, Purdy and Dak are off the board. So I'm going to grab Dobbins as my 4th running back, just slightly past ADP here. And I probably can think about if I want to grab Love or if I want to push QB, play like the Daniel Jones thing later or something, is what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, you have a really nice range here, I think. Like, you grabbed Dobbins, which is really nice. So you could probably call this a 4 running back room if you chose. And I really like this wide receiver range for these prices. Love goes. That would have been a nice.
I know.
That would have been nice for you.
Man, I think what I'm going to do, and I don't think I've done this stack yet. I should see. I might do the Jacob Sanderson special, Jaden Daniels with Rashad White. Yeah, I have not done this stack yet, so I'm gonna pair these two together and get my 5th running back here.
What an all-time moment for the Jacob Sanderson exposure reveal. I don't think I've ever seen Davis be so appalled, like, ever on the show.
That moment was so funny too, because like Pat was trying to like check his exposures, and he was kind of like, I have a decent amount of Rashad White, and he was like going to brag about having 11%, and Davis just could not stop cackling about that exposure. I'll show you the thumbnail for tonight's ADP chasing. I mean, I just, even though this happened last week, I'm just like, we got to do it.
No, 42%. Yeah, this is how you bring people in right there. I like the Rashad White pick. I get it. I like it.
I get it too. Like, he's definitely sold me on an overweight position there, especially on teams like this, right? Like Jaden Daniels, you're betting on the Commanders to crush. It's kind of like a cheaper Javonte Williams thesis, really, right? Like if Rachaad White and Javonte Williams flip spots, we probably would be drafting Rachaad White exactly where we're drafting, Javonte Williams is just like the lead back on a good offense.
No, for sure. Like I don't think there's a huge gap between those two talent wise. I grabbed Dubs for the stack here, and then I'm going to take Ferguson for my first tight end. But this is a really, really fun range. You get some pretty interesting running back values here, some pretty safe wide receivers here to just like buy some points, and then Malik Willis here for an upside quarterback. But I'm calling it a 2 quarterback team here. But this 10, 11 turn, 11th round here, I think is a pretty fun range.
That was nice for you with, sometimes you get in the spots with May where you need a wide receiver and you're just like, yes, I know Dobbs is slightly overpriced here, but let me get the stack. But you get him to fall back to 120 and get the stack. I think that makes it a little more palatable.
Yeah, I could see Dubs. Like, I think Dubs will fall slowly as, the AJ Brown news, becomes, more and more ingrained in how people treat, obviously, Dubs after the fact. But I think at most he'll just kind of live at early 11 where that Drake May drafter is. Like, I think he's always just going to get scooped up by the May drafter. And I think you might just see the May drafter pass on him in the 10th and then get him in the 11th there. Cause I did get a little bit of a Drake May fall. You normally see him go like where Hurts is and Caleb is, but I think he's still going to live on that side of the board.
I'm going to put my money where my mouth is.
Let's go.
Travis Hunter selection. I do like Omar Cooper a lot in this range as well. Coker's fun, but come on.
Do you feel scared drafting Travis Hunter?
No. If anything, I feel scared that I don't feel scared. Like, I think that I am too confident that the asymmetric upside with him is just so massive at this price that maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. But no, I feel no fear.
That's hilarious. I mean, I do get a little scared, but man, I'm just such a believer in this guy's talent, and just because it was like probably like the stone worst outcome for him rookie season. Now we are getting him. I mean, in the 11th, we're still feeling pretty rosy about him, but yeah, I'm worried, but that's just purely results based on what was probably the worst possible scenario for him last year.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I always think about too, it's like the whole thing as well is, I mean, the guy missed the entire second half of the season. The game he got hurt was the best game of his year. True, I think he had a 27% target share that game. I mean, how many other players do we pick up where they left off? But when it comes to Travis Hunter, it's one distorted coach speak quote that gets to determine what Travis Hunter's value is for that year. It is, again, like, I can't really think of another player in the pool who one quote could change his ADP 5 rounds. I mean, if they came out and said today, Travis Hunter's going to be a full-time wide receiver, he's going in round 6.
Yeah.
Like, that is crazy. And it's exactly what would happen if they came out and said it too. So like, that kind of volatility, if everyone agrees that if he is that thing, I want to embrace that variance, because I think there are plenty of outs to him being that thing, even if that's not the most likely thing based on the evidence right now.
No, you're absolutely right. There is the fragility in a positive way for Travis Hunter is kind of hilarious in that regard. I went Hunter Henry for another stack there, and I really like Juwan Johnson, but I think I'm gonna go Debo here, just because of the wide receiver start that I had. I think it's more important that I get Debo here than my third tight end, and hopefully I should have okay options for my third tight end there. I don't think it's totally necessary to reach on Juwan, even though I do really like Juwan Johnson.
Would I rather have Hunter Spash or Genty fail? I'm not a Genty hater. I was last year. I was very skeptical. I'm drafting a lot of Genty this year, but so easy for me. I would much rather have Hunter smash. Do you have one on this? Colton asks, has any coach speak talked about the Ravens rookie wide receivers at all? Who are you taking besides Flowers and Andrews? I really haven't. I mean, I like Surratt's profile a lot and how productive he was, but it seems like a very fancy zero right now.
Yeah, I'm alternating between the two. I prefer Surratt as well, but if you're a SYTYCT user, you're gonna get a little bit of both. I prefer Elijah Surratt though. I think.
Yeah,
but I'm not like overly confident. I mean, these guys are 18th round picks.
I think just when in doubt, well, one, I think just wait for more information. But if you are picking on a rookie, the one who is more productive in college is generally the one I'd rather hang my hat on, even if the draft capital was slightly skewed in the other direction.
Yeah, agreed. I'm always going to be a sucker for college production.
So I got Chigakonkwo there. I like that. And you know what? I do need another tight end here, but I'm going to go back to back if he's here on Antonio Williams. This is a stack I've been wanting to do because I haven't been drafting on my own time. Yeah. One of the ones in my head is like, I want to do the Jaden, Rachaad White, Antonio Williams, Chigakonkwo, the cheap bounce back commander stack. If it has McLaurin, great, but it's really the selling point of all the cheap pieces to me.
Yeah, no, that's a really fun just onslaught there where, hey, if these commanders go back to form how Jaden Daniels was rookie season, like, yeah, let's get the pass catchers who are easily like the biggest benefit, the biggest beneficiaries there to come along for the ride. And they're cheap, like you said. They're very cheap. So Jaden Daniels is such a fun pick, man. He's so cheap, and yeah, he's just awesome.
He really is.
I don't know how many running backs I'm going to finish on this team. I've got 3, right now, and it's kind of hard to make sense of what my 4th one will be. But if I do take a 4th, it'll probably be with this coming pick. There's at least a guy. Well, not anymore. I wanted Sean Tucker.
Tucker,
yeah, but I could still do Bigsby and just be like, hey, if I want to, I'm going to take a running back. I want it to be somebody that if situation arises, he's going to smash, and I don't want to handcuff Bijan with Brian. So I'm going to go Bigsby. And then tight end here is pretty nice with Brenton Strange. There's my 3rd. So I feel really good about those 2 picks.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about Bigsby with Levitan yesterday, and he's pretty hype on him as a clear handcuff, undervalued relative to some of these other running back prices that you could pretty easily make the case that, he belongs up closer to Tracy, certainly Pacheco. I mean, I think you can argue that he's a round and a half or so undervalued.
Yeah, for sure. That's really the big thing for me is for these backup running backs, how certain am I that they will succeed if given the role? And he's one of them. Ray Davis, really cheap, is another one. But just from even the little bit of carries that we saw from Bigsby last season, I was like, wow, who is that guy? Like, that didn't look like Saquon. That guy looked fast and explosive. I thought Bigsby looked good in Jags that second season as well. So, yeah, just in terms of feeling confident if given the role, Bigsby is really high on that list. Whereas, like Braylon Allen, I'm not entirely sure that Braylon Allen smashes if handed the reins. I'm not entirely sure Jordan James does either, but he's one that I'm taking a lot right now just because of the coach speak. That does seem pretty certain that he's the RB2. But yeah, Bigsby, TLDR, is the guy I feel the most confident about in that range, basically.
I was, if I hadn't taken Antonio Williams, I was going to double tap Chig and Brenton Strange, and then he falls all the way back to you. And then I kind of found myself in a weird limbo with some of the tight end options. I decided to go with Gunnar Helm. We'll just play the past and present Tennessee Titans here with Chig. And Helm.
I don't get a lot of Chig because, I do end up having some form of rankings on my app whenever I'm drafting. And, most of the rankings providers are lower on Chig than ADP, but, I was a Chig bull last year and basically his whole career. and he's in a really good situation. I really would like to have more Okonkwo on my teams because he has a chance to be a lot of fun this year.
He does. Oh man, what do we do here? I need tight ends. I need wide receivers. You know what? Let's get a little tight end upside here with this late tight end room. We'll take Stowers. Probably more of a BBM ass pick, but who knows? This could be a 4 tight end room for me anyway. So let's get a little upside in here.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell what the plan is for Stowers because Goddard, I think, still has it. But if they play heavy personnel quite a bit, then obviously that's the bull case for Stowers, and that does seem kind of likely. Like I don't think that they're going to be dropping back to pass a lot, especially with the removal of AJ Brown. Obviously, they made a ton of additions at wide receiver, but yeah, I think Stowers is a pretty interesting pick. I think whenever sharp guys are on a tight end prospect like that goes late, I tend to listen. Like the hit rate for those those type of guys, late tight ends that the evaluators like is pretty strong.
Yep. All right, Nez, we have I have 2 more picks. You have 3 more picks, including your 16 and 17 at the turn. Also, shout out Blake Robinson in the chat becoming a YouTube member. You can take advantage of that membership by joining us on the Bash on Thursday. All YouTube members are eligible. We spin a wheel. If your name comes up, you can come and draft with me. Last week, I did draft a Pitbull team with Blizzy on the Bash. Nez goes Jerry Jeudy. Nothing says fantasy hipster contrarian more than a Jerry Jeudy pick in 2026.
I mean, listen, 10 picks past ADP, I can't resist. And then I'm looking at this Mooney stack, but man, I am a sucker for Katron Allen. And I know I was talking about stopping at 4, but and I do not have certainty that Katron Allen, if given the role, is going to be that guy. But I do think at this range, there is a non-zero chance Katron Allen is actually the best running back in this room. I actually do believe that there is a chance that he can just earn himself a role without injury. Whereas a lot of these other guys, maybe Helani, he's kind of like creeping up in terms of potential standalone value, but a lot of these other guys I just don't think have the ability to do that. But I really like Katron in college, so I just keep him.
It's fun. I mean, I feel like typically if there is like an actual path to running back 1 without an injury, we have to pay more of a premium for it. But you're not really having to do that right now with Allen.
No.
And it's really like I don't think Rachaad White got to defend my guy here on this team. I don't think he's going away, but could Bill get discarded or become the running back 3 pretty easily?
Yeah, like what if the Bill Bears are right? Like what if he's actually like not that good, but he had a couple really long runs and it boosted his stats, and what if they're right and he's actually not that good?
Yep. I did Cooper Kupp last draft. I got to make my Cooper Kupp memorial pick this draft with Darnell Mooney here.
These Giants, I love them in the eliminator, just getting off on the right foot. Like maybe they're not even good, and Dart just has a miserable start to the season because he was kind of miserable without Neighbors at times. But I think that they have such strong production projections in the early rounds or the early weeks, and maybe Mooney's actually like, what if he comes back to his not full form, but at least some of the 1,000-yard form that we saw from him. It was a nightmare in Atlanta, but he was at one point like a pretty damn good receiver. So yeah, I kind of like the sneaky upside for Mooney with a good, good points to buy early in the season too.
Yeah. And I do think here, looking at the board, I feel like I could be an 8 wide receiver or 4 tight end build. Kind of had a spot to play with based on going the 2 quarterbacks here.
Yeah.
Let's do a little, you know what? How about a little T-Bear, little Terrence Ferguson at the last second here. I don't think I've taken much of him.
I like
grab first, you get Chig and Gunnar Helm Hopefully 2 guys stepping into bigger roles than they've seen previously. And then we'll just kind of clackety clack on a Stowers or Ferguson upside piece hitting.
I like that. I think you have a good build for 4 tight end, especially with the tight end room that you had. I think it makes sense, right? And if these guys hit, cool, they're hitting your flex. It's not, there's less diminishing returns than people think, but we're as a community really coming around to 4 tight end, and I agree with the thesis. Man,
yeah,
my last pick, I don't know what I'm going to do, man. But sorry, go ahead.
No. I was you have Katron. You have a 2.573, pretty decently allocated everywhere.
It's probably a rookie wide receiver. I don't think I need like veteran production. I don't think that would make sense. I think I've got some floors all around. Like literally the entire wide receiver room is floors. The Brazel goes, that's kind of a shame. Malachi Fields stacks, but I don't know if I have a ton of confidence in him. But we're gonna take Malachi Fields just because he's a rookie and he stacks, and I've got Jackson Dart.
There you go. Yeah, you did the Zachariah Branch last time. You did the Malachi Fields, and you can enjoy all of his zeros behind my Darnell Mooney for a good chunk of the year. Yeah,
he's gonna teach him. He's gonna run. So he's gonna walk so Malachi can run.
Yep. Third leg in the chat says Washington running more plays with Jaden behind center instead of pistol shotgun should help run game tremendously, no matter who is the runner.
Like that take. That's a good ball knower take right there.
Little ball knower take there. All right, Nez, let's recap these teams. Our second Pitbull draft today. Thank you guys for hanging. Make sure you guys are subscribed. We're here every Tuesday. Generally, when John's in the fold, we will try to bounce around to some more of the side contests. We really like covering the Eliminator, weekly winners. We'll cover Superflex, all the kind of fun stuff that pops up. But without John, Nez and I just wanted to rip some of these pit bulls here. Nez, recap this team.
Yeah, your team or my team?
Yours.
Yeah. My team, Drake May, Jackson Dart at quarterback. This was a 2-5-8-3 with Bijan Robinson, Jeremiah Love, Breece Hall, Tank Bigsby, and Katron Allen at running back. My wide receivers are Waddle, Devontae Adams, Metcalf, Godwin, Dubs, Debo, Jerry Jeudy, and Malachi Fields. And then my tight ends, Ferguson, Henry, and Strange. This is just like a pretty balanced team, I think. Maybe if you want to nitpick, wide receivers, could be stronger for sure, but I'm very much banking on only needing to start 3 of these guys. I am a pretty big fan of how this team turned out.
You called your shot on Ayuk to the Commanders, who I did forget to draft in my Jaden stack. Well, who are you calling your shot on Debo to?
Oh, that's a good one. I think where I think Debo goes is Vegas. I've been saying I think Vegas needs a wide receiver. They got to add somebody to that room. And they kind of have some traditional route runners. They got Trey Tucker as the downfield threat. Obviously, Bowers as well there. But I think Debo would be a fun addition to that team. I could see him going to Vegas.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, his I can just see the ETR ranks updating in real time for how much market share of receiving yards they would allocate to Debo there.
It would be massive.
Yeah. I mean, I think Pat mentioned it yesterday too. Like they're going to play Jack Bash, at this rate.
Like really? God,
Jalen Naylor. Yeah. What? Because in 3 wide receiver sets, what do you have? Tucker, Naylor, and Bash.
Yeah, it's Bash and Thornton battling out for wide receiver 3.
It kind of strengthens the Brock Bowers thesis just because he's going to have to be their slot receiver essentially.
Yeah, Bowers is going to be a monster. Yeah, and if Mendoza can just be any bit of competent, these guys are going to feast. And they did beef up the offensive line quite a bit. They spent a ton of money on a center, so things could really look up for Vegas. I'm pretty bullish Vegas and Mendoza.
What's your line on the week that Mendoza takes over?
I would probably say week 3, but okay. I would not be surprised if he is just the starter straight up. Like they might not be able to keep the cat out of the bag. or whatever.
I'm just picturing and having watched the season of quarterback where Kirk Cousins gets benched for Penix and how distraught he is. I could just imagine the look on his face when they tell him we brought you over, and in his head he's like, I can at least get like 5 or 6 games, right? And they're like, actually, we're gonna start Mendoza week 1. Poor guy's gonna be so devastated.
Doesn't matter. He's richer than God, man. Like how upset can this guy really be?
Yeah, exactly. All right, my team went with a 2-5-7-4. Jaden Daniels and Daniel Jones at quarterback, Kenneth Walker, Javonte Williams, Quinshon Judkins, J.K. Dobbins, and Rashad White at running back. 7 wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, Jaden Reed, Josh Downs, Travis Hunter, Antonio Williams, Darnell Mooney. 4 tight ends, Chig Okonkwo, Gunnar Helm, Eli Stowers, Terrence Ferguson. Definitely like a slappy wide receiver room with Reed, Downs, and Hunter, and then kind of a boomer running back room with Javonte, Judkins, Dobbins, and Rashad White.
Yeah, I really like this team though. I mean, your running backs are so solid. You know, it's real. This is a Commanders go Burr bet, and if that happens, and you know, Lamb and Evans do their thing, this team is absolutely cooking.
Do you I forget if it was in my chat or which chat it was. Someone was mentioning DJ Giddens. Have you been dabbling in any backup Colts running back drafting?
I haven't. No. I'll need to see the comments on that. I think right now Giddens does have the lead in the backfield. But yeah, I'm probably good on that until I see some reason to change that tune. But right now I'm not drafting any of that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That'll be another fun one though, as far as having that pick in the back of the draft.
That information would be very, very beneficial. It adds, you know, it having new picks in the 18th round is like one of the best parts of the process of Best Ball Summer, is like having those new options there, and you can kind of reverse engineer your teams in that regard, knowing like, oh, okay, this guy's now clickable and he has leverage because he's, you know, less than 100% drafted. So I would be, I'm more than willing to change my tune.
Highly recommend this contest if you guys are being choosy with your bullets or your time. I mean, $20, 10 max, this kind of week 15, 16, 100K up top. It really is about as good as it gets for small field contests.
Yeah, this contest is awesome, man. And it's going to be open for a while, so you know you don't have to have all your money right away if you're kind of stingier with your portfolio. But I would definitely try to put some away for this contest. It'll be there for a while.
Yep. The lobby is absolutely packed with options right now. Obviously, BBM, you got the Frenchie 3, but Superflex, that's about to fill. The $3 Field General, that one is about to fill. Obviously, plenty of time on Eliminator weekly winners. Big Dog, if you really want to splash around. Pitbull, Puppy 2, so much good stuff in the Underdog lobby here.
Yeah, love it, man. Love it. It's overflowing.
Let the people know what's going on with the Badge Bros this week. How are you guys? Are you holding down the fort while John is on his little, gondolas in Venice or whatever?
Yeah. John fully off the grid, being Euro John with a crossbody bag. I don't know if you guys ever pegged John to be a crossbody bag guy, but he's converted. I'm holding it down for the bros. No solo show for me today. We're going to the movies. We haven't been to the movies in a while, and so we're gonna go see Obsession. I've been dying to see it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so finally getting that taken care of. But then Wednesday, we're back. We got NBA salary cap again, which was a ton of fun yesterday to think through and draft, and then baseball, of course, as well. So yeah, it's been good. It'll be me for the rest of this week, and then next week as well until Thursday, when I need to drive to Austin for the first time this summer to go to a bachelor party. But
there you go.
Yeah.
But you will be more aerodynamic on the road without the stash. You'll get there a few minutes quicker.
Well, it's crazy. It's like cheating. They don't even think I should have it off.
As far as my schedule this week, we do have Swolecast at 3 p.m. If you were hoping for a soccer show today, we are going to talk footy on the Swolecast. Am I allowed to say footy? We have Andrew Laird. He covers footy for RotoWire, I believe. Really sharp ball knower. We're going to approach it a little bit more from the survivor lens, but I'm sure there's some nuggets you can pick up if you're interested in the World Pup there.
Awesome.
And then we'll have ADP chasing tonight. Those guys will be live as usual at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Truly a must listen weekly for both best ball players and enjoyers of good banter. Tomorrow we'll have ship chasing at 2 p.m. Best Ball Bash Thursday at noon. And then I haven't figured out what I'm doing for After Dark this week, but I'm sure I'll have a show Friday or Saturday night. And then, yeah, let us know in the comments if you guys can help dictate what contest we cover next week. You know, it's been a little while since we've done Superflex. If you guys want us to circle back to Eliminator, let us know. We are open for business with what you guys would like to see.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Anything else for you, Nez?
No, that's it. Like Pete said, suggestions are welcome, and I'll try to come with some sort of like activity or thought experiment for us for the next show too, to kind of talk through.
There you go. All right. We'll catch you guys later. And then, as always, if you want to join us in the Deposit Kingdom Discord, that's where all the Badge Bros channels are. We got all the sports, all the talk. There's also the So You Think You Can Tout channel, which has a lot of conversation going on these days. If you want to talk about the show or try to book action on the winners, that's where it's all going down. For Nez, for our comrade John abroad, I'm Pete. We'll see you guys next time on Off and on the Clock.